Kevin Demansky with Radio Control Car Action Magazine, and I'm really excited about these Proline switch tires. And today we're going to show you guys how to mount these switch tires on the Proline Epic Beadlock wheels. In order to properly mount the tire on the rim, you're going to need two simple tools to do the job. A simple pair of scissors and a 2mm tip Allen wrench. Now the Proline wheel comes with two screws installed and the beadlock ring, so you need to remove them in order to get the wheel apart to put it inside the tire. So you take your wrench, just put it in the screw, and remove the two screws, and don't lose them when you put them down. Before you place the tire on the wheel, you want to go ahead and remove the foam insert, because we have to make a little bit of a modification to make sure that the rubber has good contact with the beadlock wheel. If you leave the foam intact the way it is, it can get between the tire and the beadlock and allow the tire to slip off the rim. So what you want to do is basically cut a little bit of the corner off on the inside of each foam. Once you get the one side done, flip it over and do the other side. Before you put the foam insert back in the tire, you want to inspect the bead area to make sure they're perfectly flat and smooth. There may be some flashing left over from the molding process, and you want to remove that with a pair of scissors. Now when you go to put the foam back in place, I like to fold it up to make it a little bit easier to insert into the tire. And then once you get it inside the tire, you kind of want to work it around to get the foam sitting as flat as possible in the tire. Now it's time to put the tire on the wheel. We're going to start with the back half of the wheel and insert it into the back side of the tire first. So just take the wheel, insert it, work the foam around the rim so that you don't pinch it. And then you're going to pull the back side of the tire up and over the wheel, trying not to get the foam insert in there too. Now once you get the tire over, kind of like so, you want to just kind of pull it over and work the bead into the rim to make sure that it's sitting properly. Now I like to roll the tire around, get that foam insert situated, make sure it's all sitting right. Now that we have the back of the tire all set, we're going to go to the front side and work that too. And you can see there's spikes in there as well to keep the tire in place. You want to just kind of work the tire over the rim and make sure that it's seated properly in the bead area of the wheel. Here's another tip for you guys. If you guys are going to run a high-powered brushless system in your Slash or Slayer, or a high-powered engine in your Slayer, you run the risk of blowing the tires right off the rims from the high RPM. So what you want to do is put a little bead of silicone around the bead here to lock it into place. And not only does that help lock it in place, but it keeps the fine dust and dirt from out of the bead lock. And the fine dust and dirt acts as like a lubricant and allows the tire to slip out. So that silicone does two things: locks it in place and keeps out that fine dust. Now we're going to install the center section, or the front half of the wheel, as you can see by the pattern on the wheel. Comes in from the back side, just slide it into place and push it in, and just make sure everything is lined up properly. Work it in there. Once you get everything together, you'll see that the tire matches perfectly with the rim. There's no bulges, no nothing, and it's all flat. Then you know you have a good lock on it. Now we're going to move to the other side of the rim. And the same thing, if you're going to run high-powered systems in your cars, then you want to put a little silicone around the bead to lock it in place. So you did it on the back, you'll do it on the front too. And go ahead and work the bead in between two halves of the wheels. You want to make sure that it's locked in there properly. So you just kind of have to work it until it sits in place. When you're working the tire into the groove between the two wheel sections, you want to move it side to side and just kind of do what you have to do to get it to fit between the two sections of wheel. Now we're ready to install the beadlock ring. All you have to do is align these holes with the holes in the rim and make sure that it's sitting properly with the tire. Kind of press it into place to lock it in, and then install your screws. Now when you're tightening up the screws and then you get towards the bottom here, you don't want to over tighten it, because if you do over tighten it, you can strip out the rim and then you'll have a weak bead lock. So I just kind of like to keep working it until I feel a little bit of resistance, and I give a light pressure on the wrench until it's locked into place, so I don't overdo it. One other tip I have for you is to install the screws in a crisscross pattern so they apply equal pressure to the ring as it's installed. Alright, so we got one down, there's 3 more to go. These Proline switch tires provide awesome traction for your Slash or Slayer. Let's go see them in action.